Hey everybody, welcome to the third episode of the Small Town Artist Podcast. I got a special treat today. We're interviewing Ryan Dalgliesh. He's a local artist, and he doesn't know I'm already recording. I'm actually walking to his studio right now, and we're going to do it. It's freaking cold right now. It's like 25 degrees. And we're going to make this, it's going to be candid, so he doesn't know what questions I'm going to ask. He doesn't even know I'm recording already. But we're going to be walking into his studio right now. So we're going to keep this real spontaneous. What's up, brother?
How are you?
Good. I'm already recording, man.
Cool.
It's candid. We're doing it.
Nice.
Doing it live, buddy. How are you, man?
I'm doing really well.
Good to see you, man.
Good, man. I think it's awesome that you got a podcast. I'm glad it was easy for you.
Oh yeah. Let me sit over here so I can make sure I get the audio real good. How you been doing, man?
I'm doing well, man.
You're working hard.
I'm tired today. I don't know if it's the cold.
Are those yours?
The bottom ones?
Those?
No, the bottom ones are a buddy of mine from Dallas.
Wow.
We used to get in trouble together in 5th grade for drawing instead of doing our homework.
And those are his?
Yeah, these are his.
Wow, those are
He's
crazy
an art
good.
teacher out in the Dallas area, and I've been trying to push him to do more work, because he's really talented. And he's like, no. So I had him come and do a show here with me in December and showcase some of his work. And he's about to come pick them back up, but he's sold several of them, and so.
Oh wow, that's great, man! And these are new.
Yeah, this is my new series. So black and whites, which is very, very different for me.
Yeah.
But it's been a lot of fun.
Wow.
So I'm doing a show here on April 12th with all of my new pieces.
April 12th.
Yeah.
Wow, man, that's just around the corner.
I know. Well, it's the same night as the museum doing the ceramics opening.
Oh, okay.
So I was already going to be open, so I thought I'd just
Good.
piggyback on it,
Yeah, I mean, we've already talked to them about trying to promote this area for that show.
Yes.
I'm glad you reminded me. I'm going to go talk to them and make sure that they put us on their materials.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they, Michelle and I were both on their flyer or whatever last year.
Okay.
And so they reached out to us last month and asked if we wanted to do it again. And so I was late getting back to them, but I said, yeah, for sure.
Wow.
Because I think I must have had 70 or 80 people that night that were not locals who came through the studio just as overflow from that.
From the museum?
Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
So, which is more, by the way, than all the people who would ever come through for any of the downtown stroll stuff.
I know.
So it was really a good night.
Wow.
I sold a few things, but it was just nice to have new visitors and new faces.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
That's really good. Well, if you guys are listening, I'm here with Ryan Dalgliesh.
Close enough. Dalglish.
Dalglish.
Yeah.
Did you know that Henry Cavill's last name is
Dalglish.
Dalglish?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know that. I was reading something on his IMDb, and I was like, wait a second.
Yeah.
I was like, that's Ryan's last name. That's pretty cool.
There's a famous author from early 1900s who had an Inspector Dalglish in all of their books. Yeah. And so it's a Scottish name.
Scottish.
But, yeah.
That's cool, man. We're here to interview you for the Small Town Artist Podcast.
Nice, man. I'm excited.
You fit the bill, man.
Good.
And
both of us do, right?
Both of us do. We're actually, for you guys that are listening, me and Ryan have been neighbors.
2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
Has it been 2 years?
A little over, yeah.
Wow. So yeah, our studios are just one building apart, on the same street here in San Angelo, and I'm gonna do a little video after the interview to show you guys on the YouTube channel what his art looks like here in the studio. It's killer. You guys got to see it. It's great. But I had just a few questions. I want to kind of keep it a little short and sweet for the listeners, just because they're probably driving to work or doing some stuff around the house or something and want to listen to the podcast. So just talking about small town artists and making this a career, and it's kind of the theme of the show. How long have you been selling art?
I have been selling art, I would say casually, for 5 years, 5 or 6 years, but seriously for the last 3.
Last 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
Really selling it for the last 3.
Okay. What's the difference between casually selling and really selling?
Casually was I hadn't decided to jump in with both feet yet,
Why is that?
Art was something I'd always done growing up. I'd majored in it in college and then put it down for 15 years. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it had always kind of just been something, it was always something I did on the side. Mm-hmm. And so I would sell, like, I would draw something or sell something and like a family member would want it, that kind of thing. But it's something that I've loved. And so I got to a point finally where I just thought, man, I love it too much for it to just be this thing that's on the side. It needs to take more center stage in my life. And so when I finally jumped all in, that's when I feel like I really started to sell.
Okay, so it was more of a commitment.
Yeah, it had to be
that made the difference.
Yeah.
Wow. So why aren't you like in Dallas or San Antonio or Austin? Like why San Angelo?
I live in San Angelo. I moved to San Angelo 17 years ago. I was still single. I was 27, and I moved here to be closer to my sister and her husband, and then ended up meeting my wife, who was born and raised here.
Okay.
And so her entire family's here, and so this is just home. This is just where we are. Our kids enjoy being here and playing with their cousins. And
do you ever imagine or think about maybe going to a bigger town and it'd be easier?
Oh, it would absolutely be easier.
Yeah.
I mean, we have, what do you think, 90,000 people here? Something like that?
100,000 maybe.
100,000?
Yeah.
And in the 2 years that I've been in this studio, I've sold to maybe 200 of them, And even if you just said only 5% of the people in this town want my art, that's still 4,500 people, and 4,300 I haven't found.
Right.
So obviously you get into a place like DFW, you get into a place like San Antonio, where now you have millions of people. Catching 5% of that, catching 2% of that is way different than catching 2% of the 100,000. So,
when did you realize that this is what you wanted to do? Like when was that like aha moment for you? Like when you went from casual to committed.
So that's funny because I had been traveling for work a lot, and I just got tired of being away from my wife and my kids. So 4 years ago this month, I just asked Michelle, my wife. I just said, what would you think about me like really going for it as an artist? And of course she was great, and she was like, yeah, I think you'd be great. She had way more confidence in it than I did. And so that's when I started pursuing it full time. But your question was, when did I realize I wanted to do it?
Yeah.
It was probably another 2 years after that.
Oh, really? After that?
Yeah. So like I decided to really go for it just as a way to come off the road and to be home more. But probably about 2 years ago is when I was like, man, I'm in love with this. Like, I get halfway through a painting, and it's not that I get bored with that painting, but I'm already excited about the next one. Like, my mind's already transitioning to the next one.
Wow.
I lay awake at night thinking about what I'm painting next in the next series and what I want to do tomorrow. And, so that happened somewhere after committing to go for it full time. Because honestly, the first 2 years I was terrified. It was scary. Like, I was 40 years old and reinventing myself, and switching careers. And so the first 2 years were terrifying. And then I got to the point where I was like, man, this is what I really want to be doing. Like, wow. I'm having too much fun there's no plan B now. There's no backup.
There's no plan B?
No. This is it. It's got to work.
It's got to work?
Yeah.
What are 3 major lessons that you've learned selling in a small town? Like, what are some things like that stood out to you as like, I got to put that one in my, in my my learning box or whatever you want to call it, like the lessons I've learned as being like pivotal for you in terms of like on a day to day, or like, it's just part of like your strategy now. Like, what are those lessons, 3 of them, that would you say stand out for you?
Yeah. So, when I moved in here, the day I moved in and I
to your studio.
The day I moved into the studio and I met you, you said, well, welcome to the neighborhood. Never give this place up.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that really shifted for me, you have so many events that take place in your studio,
right?
That just bring people in. So one thing that happened was I thought, if I'm going to reach people, I need to do other things here. So like, I'll have kids' birthday parties here, something like that from time to time. I try to do 3 of my personal shows here a year, do a party here every Christmas. And I'm trying to do those things, and that brings in faces, moms and dads. Like the kids' birthday parties that I've had earlier this year, I don't charge a lot for that per kid. But every time I've had one so far this year, I've had a parent go, oh, I like that painting, and leave with a painting or leave with some prints, or you know what I mean? And so people who wouldn't have ever come here otherwise. So the one rule is one thing for me is I'm trying to find creative ways to bring people to my studio who aren't looking for me, who are, I don't know, maybe they're here because their kids are painting, maybe that's what's bringing them here. And so trying to find new ways to introduce people to me as an artist. The second thing, and this is really hard, like people who will buy art, who are in love with the piece, who will come back week after week and go, yep, okay, I'm pulling the trigger. I need that piece. And you've had that happen too.
Yeah.
Where they're thinking about it and finally they go, I can't get it out of my head.
Right.
It's one thing to have them be that excited about it, but it's a whole nother thing to communicate to them, hey, please tell somebody. Like, put this on your Instagram and put this on your Facebook. And so if I can get the people who are buying my work and collecting my work to share that opens me up to a new market. And I don't think people realize how instrumental that is in being discovered. I mean, and I'm not talking being discovered by like some huge gallery. I'm just talking about being discovered by their next door neighbor, like by some person who is just going to love your work. Mm-hmm. And then the third thing, and this has less to do with, making it in a small town. This just has, I have so much fun painting. I sometimes don't think about it as work, mm-hmm. but I've realized that I have to at least think about it as work 50% of the time. I have to think of it like a business. Right. And I have to think of it, I have to put in the hours every day, and I have to be working on the website, and there are things like that I have to be doing just to keep moving myself forward. And so that's probably been the biggest shift for me, is reminding myself, look, this is fun and you're enjoying it, but you also have to treat it like a business. Yeah. And so just having regular hours, I'm trying to be really regular with my hours in the studio, and really diligent with my time while I'm in the studio, mm-hmm. making sure that I'm cranking out a certain number of pieces, a month. Okay.
Now that you've been here for a little while, and I think people are starting to understand that you are working and selling artwork here in town, have you ever been approached by an artist that's maybe trying to do what you do, and they've come to you for advice and asked you something? I mean,
I still come to you for advice. So,
but now you've been here long enough that I think people can go to you for some advice as well.
I haven't had a painter do that, but recently I had a guy who does photography mm-hmm. contact me and just say, how do I begin? Mm-hmm. I want to start selling my photographs. I am looking for a website to make prints from. Mm-hmm. I found the company that I used to do my prints is the one you recommended to me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so he was just asking, like, what are some pointers? How do I begin to market myself as a photographer, as an artist, who shoots photography? And so he came to me recently, and then just today, a young woman who's a stay-at-home mom with like 4 kids. She has started doing painting again, and she'll send me her work from time to time and just, hey, here's what I'm working on. Help me make it better. What do I need to do? How do I improve? And so that's been fun.
That's good. One last question, because we're getting close on our time. Yeah. What is your favorite thing about being an artist in a small town?
Man, I mean, one of my favorite things about being in a small town period is I like that I can get anywhere in 10 minutes. But the people in the small town, like, I don't know. I mean, you talked about this a little bit before. You used to have art hanging everywhere. When you were first really diving in, you were hanging art everywhere.
Oh, it was gross.
And the thing that's so cool about being in a small town is you can get to a point where, even though there's 100,000 people here, you can get to a point where you have name recognition and face recognition, where people that maybe you don't even know or remember, they know who you are. Right. And so there is something about that I think is good, because it's one of those things. If people are hearing our names more and more, mm-hmm. eventually it becomes something that's not just familiar to them. It becomes something that's, I don't know, like you almost want it to be normal or commonplace. Like if people know Alejandro and Ryan, and they know, hey, these guys are serious artists here in town. Then eventually you become the guy that people are pointing other people to.
Yeah, of course. So, anytime, one of my goals when I first started was that anytime any conversation about art came up in San Angelo, I wanted my name to come up.
Yeah, you want to be in that conversation.
You want to be like, hey, if anybody came to town, it was like, hey, what is some art that we can check out here in town? Yeah. I wanted my name to come up in that sentence. Like, not to be the only one to come up in that sentence, but I wanted people to like think, whoa, oh yeah, there's Alejandro, and there's like Ryan, and there's like some other artists. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted that to happen.
There's a lot of art in this town, which is really surprising. Yeah. But I think there's only a handful of us who are doing it full time or working it, and
for sure.
And so I think that I say a handful, I mean maybe 20. But
maybe, I mean, it's hard to say.
But the list is short, and the more you can do this, the more your name comes up in those conversations. Right.
So that's good. Well, I think that's great, man. I appreciate you taking the time. Where can people find you, man? Where can people find your artwork online? Like
Instagram is probably the place to find all of my work. My last name is crazy, but it's Dalgliesh. And so if you look up R for Ryan, T for Todd, Dalglish, Dalgl, or look up Henry Cavill. If you can't remember how to spell my last name, look up the actor Henry Cavill and find his full name. And that's so RT Dalglish. Instagram is probably the place that is easiest to find me.
Okay. Do you have a website as well?
I do. rtdalglishfineart.com.
Oh, easy to remember, man. Yeah.
So
you find one, you can find the other,
that's
right?
Right. My Facebook page is the same. All of my stuff's under the same name.
Wonderful. Well, if you guys want to check out more of Ryan's artwork, I'm going to post up some links on the podcast. And we're going to do a quick video to walk around and check out his place. I'll post up on the YouTube channel so you guys can check out visually what his art looks like. It's stunning. You guys are going to love it. And of course, if you want to recommend him to a collector that you know or a friend or family member, I'm sure you guys are going to be dying to collect his work. And you have prints too, don't you?
I do, yes.
And you got some prints as well. Very good. All right. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy.